In January 2024, a passenger looked out the window of an Alaska Airlines flight and watched a piece of the plane tear off. 16,000 feet in the air. A hole the size of a door opened in the fuselage. Passengers grabbed seats, phones, even their children, as objects began getting pulled toward the opening. Nobody died, but here's what the investigation found next. That missing piece had 4 bolts. Boeing couldn't find the paperwork showing those bolts were ever installed. They were never there. And that was just the beginning. Today, we're going inside the most shocking corporate collapse in American history. A company that once built the planes that won World War II, that put the first American astronauts in space, that for decades was the gold standard of aviation safety, and then chose profits over people. What happened next cost hundreds of lives, and the people who tried to warn the world paid a price nobody expected. In 1916, Seattle, Washington, William Boeing, a timber businessman, builds his first plane in a boat shed on the shore of Lake Union. It barely flies, but Boeing sees something nobody else sees yet. The sky is the future. For decades, Boeing became America's greatest engineering company. From the B-17 bombers that helped win World War II, to the 747 jumbo jet that made flying accessible to ordinary Americans, Boeing built the machines that defined aviation. Engineers ran this company. Safety was religion. One former Boeing engineer described the culture simply: "We built planes we would put our own families on." But something was changing, and it didn't start on the factory floor. It started with a spreadsheet. In 1997, Boeing merges with McDonnell Douglas. On paper, a victory. But the McDonnell Douglas executives, men who had spent careers focused on cutting costs above everything else, now had seats at Boeing's table. And slowly, the culture shifted. Engineers were sidelined. Financial executives moved in. The new priority wasn't safety first. It was stock price first. From 2013 to 2018, Boeing spent $41 billion buying back its own stock. Not on research, not on safety, not on its factories, on making shareholders richer. Meanwhile, on the factory floors, workers were pressured to build faster, cut corners, stay quiet. And here's what nobody said out loud at the time. When you pressure people to stay quiet in an aircraft factory, eventually, the plane speaks for itself. In 2018, Indonesia, Lion Air Flight 610 takes off from Jakarta. 12 minutes later, it crashes into the Java Sea. 189 people dead. Investigators found the cause, a software system called MCAS that could push the plane's nose down automatically. Pilots had no idea it existed. Boeing knew. They had decided telling pilots about MCAS would require expensive new training, so they said nothing. 5 months later, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. Same plane, same software, same silence. 157 more people dead. 346 total. The 737 MAX grounded worldwide. Quick question. Have you ever been on a Boeing plane? Because after what comes next, a lot of Americans started checking their tickets very differently. Drop a comment. Would you still fly Boeing today? And if you believe companies should be held accountable, not just fined and forgotten, subscribe, because that's exactly the kind of story we tell here. Back to the story. But here's the part of this story that goes beyond corporate scandal. There were people inside Boeing who knew. who documented everything, who filed complaints, who went to the FAA. John Barnett, a quality control manager, spent years recording safety violations at Boeing's South Carolina factory. Defective parts being installed, problems being buried, workers being intimidated into silence. He gave interviews. He testified. He became the face of Boeing's internal resistance. In March 2024, while in South Carolina giving legal testimony against Boeing, John Barnett was found dead in his truck, ruled a suicide. His attorneys said he had been upbeat. He had plans. He had told them just days before he was looking forward to finally being done with all of it. 2 months later, Josh Dean, another Boeing whistleblower who had raised safety concerns about 737 MAX production, died suddenly at 45 years old. A rapid illness. No warning. 2 men, both critics of Boeing, both dead within months of each other. No conspiracy has been proven, but in America, the questions have never gone quiet. Today, Boeing carries $58 billion in debt. It loses approximately $1 billion every single month. 17,000 workers laid off. And in July 2024, Boeing pleaded guilty to criminal fraud for deliberately misleading the FAA about the 737 MAX. The company that once built machines good enough to win a world war is now a convicted criminal. But here is what nobody wants to say. This didn't happen because Boeing's engineers forgot how to build planes. It happened because the men running Boeing forgot what Boeing was actually for. They were supposed to be building machines people could trust with their lives. Instead, they were managing a stock price. And 346 people paid for that decision, with everything they had. So here is what I want you to sit with. Boeing had the best engineers in the world, the best history, the best technology, and it still failed, catastrophically. Because at the top, one question replaced another. Is this safe? Became, is this profitable? Those are not the same question. And when a company forgets that, people die. Do you think Boeing can ever rebuild that trust? Or is the damage too deep? Drop your answer below. And next week, a tractor farmer walked into Ferrari's office with a complaint. Ferrari's CEO laughed him out of the room. That farmer's response changed the car industry forever. See you there.